So I haven't uploaded in a little bit, and that's because Leagues 2 Equilibrium has released, and so I figured I would do a quick little update video for you guys here and give you an option towards the end of the video on some future content. But I think I should just start out with what I'm currently doing, and that is I'm just working on some Starbloom armor. I've played with a lot of melee this league, and I wanted to try magic out before respecking my blessings and going with like this range idea that I have. But I think I should probably do a basic rundown here on what I've done so far. And here are my stats. I'm pretty much maxed with a couple of 120s here and there. I don't have any of the actual 120s yet, but I haven't really focused on them too much. Arch, I think, is my closest. And for relic tier and whatnot, I have all the way up to tier 7, and for blessing I have made it to god tier 2. I've been here for a little bit now, and for the regions I went ahead with the standard setup on this one. And it's kind of funny because I didn't follow any guides or playthroughs or advice or keep up with any of the stuff. This was a completely blind playthrough, and that's how I like to play my leagues. I view these almost as going ahead and just being able to actually play RuneScape for once, rather than just do the game for content here on the channel and think of it in that lens. And I happened on these regions just by the fact of I wanted to play a lot of ranged this league, and I need god arrows from Anachronia. Decimation is really fun to play with from the wilderness. SGB and Gloomfire Bow come from the desert. ECB comes from the wilderness because it's ED3. A lot of the range stuff is in here, and I'm kind of sad like I couldn't also get Asgarnia or Kandarin for like Ancient Invention. I think it was pretty silly to lock Ancient Invention behind Kandarin, but then again, it wouldn't have much else going for it as a region. Overall, I think this region locking thing is very hit or miss for RS3. Maybe if we would have had 7 regions to be able to pick from, that would have made it a lot nicer, because then I could have either picked one of these just for the little bit of extra stuff that I wanted. Like here, I could go ahead and get the tier 99 prayers from AOD, or easier components for perks and whatnot in Asgarnia, but as per usual, I digress. And for relics, I think I ended up going with a relatively meta setup. I went Golden Touch, Divine Druid, Voidwalker, Antiquarian was my first pick. Then I went Clue Connoisseur, which seems to be not a meta pick, but I still like it anyways because I wanted like 5 or 6 different EOFs. And then I rejuvenated back to Crystal Grace. I was originally going to go with Transmutation because I wanted access to Eternal Magics, as that's a lot of tasks. And there was something else I really wanted to rejuve back to. I think it was Luminite or something like that. It was some like ore or some other resource that I wanted to get through transmutation, but then I realized Anachronia had whatever I needed. I think it literally was Luminite and maybe another ore type, and so I ended up just rejuvenating back to Crystal Grace because Perfection in this one is a letdown, to say the least. I was used to the old Perfection from the first league, which was brutally OP, but I think leagues in general should just have brutally OP things in them. It's a temporary game mode, we might as well just send it to the moon. But speaking of brutally OP, I did go Icenic Faith because originally I was looking at the Noragi effect. I think that's how you enunciate that, because it boosts your combat stats to 255, but it only works for about 17 seconds before it goes on a 1.5-minute cooldown. But then I realized Icenic Faith basically gives you a turbocharged grimoire, and it gives base ability damage with a plus 50 prayer bonus, and the having Soul Split active with overheads active was really OP, and I have some ideas going forward there. Once I get some other bits of gear, I'll get into my bank in a minute, don't worry. And then the 100% overheads are quite memey. I didn't get to play with that on the last league because I think I went with the God book that gave 255 stats. I've realized that 255 stats sound good, but in reality they're not nearly as strong as people think they are, and that's why I went with this. And Infernal Fire is funny, but there's not much content where it really helps out on, so it is what it is. I think this is the clear pick, which I believe most of the stuff I've ended up doing was like the theory crafted meta setup, other than maybe Clue Connoisseur and not going with Transmutation. And for blessings, I've already reset twice, and that's because, again, I was flying blind and I was just testing stuff. Originally I liked Adrenaline Junkie because it's giving you the natty instinct effect, which makes beginner combat and kind of like mid-level combat feel a lot nicer, having that double adren gain, and also the 50% overhead is also really nice to play with. But the other blessings ended up just being way too overpowered to ignore. I think the first time I tried Terra Guard's Aegis and Abyssal Cinders, but I wasn't using a shield, and that's because I didn't read this part where it's triple while wearing a shield. I didn't really read that part. All I read was base ability damage increased based on armor value, and initially I thought this effect, basically applying the Karis effect to your abilities, was going to be stronger, but then I quickly realized it's your attacks deal bonus damage equal to 15% of your ability damage, which as soon as I read the finer details on this, I realized how crap it was. So when I did these two, I then immediately reset, went Adrenaline Junkie, Striking Light, Steadfast Will to Sacred Fervor, and I think I made it all the way to Lord of Light on that setup, just using like two-handed and dual-wield weapons and stuff like that. I wasn't really using a shield, except I was using Havocborn because glass cannon setups are always fun to play with, in my opinion. I like to try anything that has a glass cannon-esque aspect to it. But then I ended up resetting back and just taking the full shield build once I realized how powerful it is, and right now I'm on Genesis Essence, and that's just so I can clean up Dragon Tier really easily without having to go absolutely bananas on the PVM. But as soon as I am done with this, I think I will refresh again. And I'm not sure if I'll do this whole shield meta. I think what I'll do is once I get my Bow of the Last Guardian and I've pretty much secured Dragon Tier, I will then try and pick different blessings to kind of min-max a unholy ritual setup for the Bow of the Last Guardian, and just to see what that can do. I've seen the poison builds. I still am not a fan of poison builds. It's not really my forte. It's not something I really mesh well with. I've never really enjoyed poison builds. It was kind of one of those things of I did it back in the day on the main game when it was really powerful, and after like 10 minutes I realized how cheesy and stupid it felt, and that's just not the type of player I am. But if you guys want to run it, obviously you're more welcome to do so, because you can play a league however you want. But I think that's what I'm going to do with one of these resets, and then the last reset, I'm honestly not sure what I'll do. I'll think of something, but effectively right now my goals are to finish Dragon Tier. I'm at 38,800 points, which is not bad for just kind of casually enjoying RuneScape on a blind leagues playthrough, and min-max Bolg and try to get Eclipse Soul to see if I can play with some stuff with that, because I think that would be very fun. But the offer I have for you guys that have made it this far into the video is I have many alt accounts that I can easily just bond up from the main game, and I have an idea in mind where on a alt account I have a specific build called the Juggernaut build, and without giving too much of the idea away, it's not going to involve any of these region picks. In fact, it will not involve Anachronia, Wilderness, or Kandarin Desert at all. It'll be completely different other areas. And the offer I have to y'all is if I see it in the comments below of something you would like to see, I will go ahead and stream the entire Juggernaut account build right here on my YouTube channel, and just stream the entire process of building up that account. To give an overarching idea of what I mean by Juggernaut, if anyone remembers the classic Modern Warfare 2 days way back in like 2011, I know there's some older gamers out here watching my channel. In fact, most of y'all are, I believe. You will remember what a Juggernaut is. It is basically just a giant OP damage soaking behemoth that can absolutely ruin your day with a giant machine gun. Well, in Modern Warfare 2, I think he carried a 240 Bravo, but he's not invincible. So the idea of this build is I'm not going to be using something like Icenic Faith if I get over here to relics in order to just negate all damage. I have to soak damage, but I also have to be able to deal a lot of damage. And I have a couple ideas on things that I want to do, and one of them involve this God tier 2 chaotic insight, because melee has some very old and again, very niche armor sets, as well as all the other styles. They all have these kind of weird armor set effects from really old armors, where when they're counting as 2 additional pieces, there's a lot of mixing and matching that can go on. So if that's something you guys want to see, go ahead and leave it down in the comments below. And before I close out this video, I will go ahead and show off my bank. I will go ahead and stop farming. It's funny how I'm farming Star Bloom and then I immediately see people here wearing it, but I haven't really seen anyone using it so far. But this is my bank in its complete unorganized, chaotic glory. I mean, there's some organization, but it's a temporary game mode, so I have not gone overboard in the slightest, especially in like my commons tab. I have rough tabs assembled, like for gear, I have full primal +5, and then I have my Drygors. I should probably throw this up here because I'm not really using EZK or anything like that right now. For range, I just have Undead Dragon because it's tank and decent life points. I'm working on full Elite Dracolich for the crit build idea I have later on. And then for magic, I haven't touched magic since I was in Mystic with the Ivar magic skull mask, but I did manage to get a Roar of Awakening earlier today, so I will go ahead and use that in some capacity and play with magic a bit more. I also have some vestments. I do have an Ice Die on the account. I have 2 EOFs so far, but this number is going to go way up. I have managed to get a Gloomfire. I still need an Ember Staff. And then this is like my main potions and kind of pouches tab with some runes. I do have Elder Overload Salves on the account. This is something I wanted from the start, and actually just to go ahead and fix this tab up so I have all the placeholders here, we'll just go ahead and do that. So now I have a 1 dose, that's all of them. And then just general purpose skilling, there's a bunch of random stuff. I've been doing a lot of fort stuff here. I still need to upgrade the rest of the fort, but that's just a personal goal. I think there's only like 2 tasks there for guardhouse and town square or town hall. I forget what the building name is, but I think those 2 to tier 3 are a 200 point task, or I think it's like an 80 and a 200. Anyways, I digress. I put all of my farming and herb lore stuff in here just to keep it organized, and that divine druid thing from when I'm skilling, if I can find it, this little summoning pouch right here is insane. It is super helpful. I'm really glad I went with this relic. It's probably my favorite relic other than the golden touch one, but these 2 definite bangers. And then it's just like some clue stuff with holding some capes and whatnot, a commons tab with a bunch of stuff that I'm probably not gonna use, but it's here in case I need it. Some of the rares, I have a couple jaws in here. I have made an EZK that was in the other tab. I have some other stuff here. I only have 1 FSOA piece, and I've done like 50 or 60 Carapac, so that's kind of annoying. I have a spare Lost Knowledge. I've already used 2 of them. I have a spare Chaos Roar. I got a doubled Flare after getting a single one. I somehow got a Runic Attuner, which I can't even use because I don't have Fremennik, therefore I can't craft Astral Runes, but it would be really funny to see this leveled all the way up and see what a like gigantic soul altar bust on the last one would give, where it's fully charged up, just to see that XP drop. And then just random like necromancy stuff. All of the dragon stuff from Voidwalker is in here, but for some reason I have 5 off hands and no main hands. I think I had like 2 or 3 main hands, but I was switching between these and dragon 2-handers, so hopefully I can get some main hands soon. All of the different pouches end up going in here, and this effectively just turned into a random junk tab. And then I just have my different artifacts and whatnot from archaeology just to hold them in here. And that's all I've really done for leagues so far. One final time, these are my blessings as of right now, but they're subject to change. These are the relics that I went with, and then these are the regions. Again, let me know in the comments down below if you want to see me live stream a juggernaut build, but that's all I really have to say about that.